Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of the program Big Talk, a program where we highlight political issues concerning Nigeria. Tonight on the show, we look at political parties' preparations for the 2027 general elections, as we want to stay on one of those critical preparations that we've seen going on, which is the sales of forms right now. The APC, or the APC venue where they're selling their forms a couple of days ago, and you could see that the party is already selling forms. The PDP too is selling nomination and expression of interest forms. We have joining us to help make sense of this 2027 election. The high cost of nomination forms affects leadership as we look at political parties' preparation for 2027. We have OLUFUWUBI, who's joined us, OLAREWAJU. He is the Deputy Director of Media, Consolidation, APC, Grassroots Movement. Thank you so much for coming on our program.
It's a pleasure to be in your studio this morning, this afternoon, and this evening. And by the grace of God, I hope we're able to educate those who are listening.
All right, so let's talk about your party. You are very much involved in the activities of the All Progressive Congress, and the sales of funds have started, and some Nigerians are saying it doesn't come cheap.
Well, first of all, people need to be well educated about the purpose in which the money used, money-based from funds, is meant to achieve. This money is meant to service party activities, ensure that our candidates across all boards wins election. But that's just by the way. Looking at the reality, if you look at the cost of the purchase of form from assembly to the reps, to House of Representatives and Senate, governorship, and the president, you see that in the last 4 years, there is no changes to that particular price tag, despite the fact that there has been inflation, despite the fact that cost of living has drastically changed in Nigeria compared to 2022. When these forms were on sales. And then if you look at the cost of running activities today, you will see that, even before now, some of us were really or expecting that we were praying because our expectation or our fears, let me use it, we're not expecting because it's not a positive thing. Our fear was that maybe the price would have to, accommodate the present day reality in Nigeria because of the cost. Maybe it will drastically increase the cost, the tag of this forms purchase. But we're so excited as a people and as a party. We're excited when we realized that the status quo remained when it comes to the price of these forms with what we experienced in 2023 when Nigeria still enjoy, more or less like more affordable cost of living. So, because this money is not meant to be in savings, this money is meant to run party programs, ensure that we defend our candidates, whether in court or outside court, and also projects our candidates to ensure that we do not just feed candidates for this election, but ensure that this candidate wins election. So this money is not actually for savings. It's meant to purchase certain services like media, branding, and defense of any form of legal totals that may arise as a result of election practice.
All right, so let's look at how much the APC is selling its forms. We look at other parties too, so we could do a comparative analysis. The presidential form of the APC goes for 100 million naira. 30 million expression of interest and 70 million for a nomination. Governorship goes for 50 million naira. 10 million expression of interest and 40 million nomination form. The Senate form goes for 20 million naira, 17 million for 3 million for expression of interest and nomination is 17 million. House of Representative, 10 million, 1 million for expression of interest, 9 million for nomination, and State House of Assembly goes for 6 million naira, as we've seen at this particular time. But let's look at this. Yes, there were rumors. In fact, we saw some circulars before that the APC was going to increase the presidential fund. We even saw 200 million naira. Only for us to the party stayed with 100 million naira. And some Nigerians would have thought that the APC were in power in 2022. So if we talk about inflation, it's still an APC government. So they cannot complain of inflation when they were the ones in power, or they are still the ones in power.
First of all, you need to understand that APC does not have a separate society that is different from other Nigerians. As a party member, you are not isolated or separated from the impact of the economic reality or the policy of the government. And that is to tell you that whatever is happening within this government is not targeted at the oppositions. Everything you've seen, all the policies of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu or the policies of the government under the ruling All Progressive Congress is to ensure that there is a sustainable development. And when you say sustainable development, you are building something for the future. You're building something that the children will come and meet and be proud of the leaders that laid those foundations. That is why a lot of us are going through what is happening right now. We feel the heat of the economy situation. But when we were educated, when we saw the plans of Mr. President and the plans of APC blueprint, and we certainly knew that it's not even just our children that benefit the proceed of the current hardship we are going through now, that even our generation will get to see the impact in the next few months. In the next few months, a lot of Nigerians that have gone through some level of hardship that were caused by changes in policy or reforms by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will live to see it, not their children, not their children, but this generation will get to see the impact or the benefit of the reforms that are already ongoing in our system.
So I'd like to ask you said you get to know, you were told about what the reforms could bring to Nigerians. I like that you tell us. What are some of the things that
you already see impacts? You already see the impacts of subsidy.
Today I bought fuel for 1,450.
Thank you so much. You see, APC government is doing something great for the future. Part of it is that first, when we are getting to this particular administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you know that APC has been in government since 2015. So when we onboarded this administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, on the first day in office, during the prominent and the popular Eagle Square declaration that subsidy is gone, that alone is the policy direction. Because the policy subsidy era was marred with a lot of corruption that has indebted this nation and even ripped us of the future of Nigeria. At that time, the whole world is scared of Nigeria. If Nigeria is going to, because there was a fear that Nigeria is going to cease from being a country in the next few months or few years. So what has happened, what the president has done is that he has been able to, through policy, to lay the foundation for a Nigeria that will not fail. Because Nigeria was actually slipping into failure. Nigeria was gradually becoming a failed state under the regime of subsidy. So then we're borrowing money to pay salaries. We're borrowing money to carry out capital expenditure or capital infrastructure. But then when the declaration was made, you realize that the country is rich enough to pay its workers. Not just that, the country foreign reserve as of now is almost approaching 50 billion US dollars. That is a big deal, and that alone builds the confidence of investors. And that is why you're seeing the rising of Dangote refineries, and that's why you see that today we don't need to borrow money. Whatever is happening in Amos, in Strait of Amos, whatever is happening between Iran, Israel, America, today we only have a commensurate impact or effect in Nigeria, just like every other nation that is tied to OPEC, because crude price is controlled by an international organization. So whatever you see with the crude, the cost of purchase of petroleum in the street of Nigeria today, you should thank God for the policy of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It would have been tripled. It would have been, the situation would have been helpless and hopeless. Indeed, I want to believe that the renewed agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the reason why you and I can still live in Nigeria, why you and I can still do business and flourish in Nigeria.
Right. So let me just interrogate some of the things that you've said, because people are wondering, talked about borrowing. We've known that President Tinubu has actually done quite a lot of borrowing.
Projects. Okay, continue.
Quite a lot of borrowing, and Nigerians thought about it that if borrowing was done because of subsidy, and the money for subsidy, what we were told was that it will go into health infrastructure and all of that. There wouldn't be need for borrowing, right? But from what we see and the data we've seen, this government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu has borrowed over 56 trillion, borrowed 56 trillion in 2 years. And that data. We also talked about the price of fuel. This government has not been able to, at least in 2 years, give us even if 70% functionality of our refineries. Yes, Dangote refinery is a beautiful idea, but that's a private venture. Some collaboration with government. What happens to the ones we have, the 4 refineries we have, the one in Eleme, the one and all over, right? Why are they not working? So we could talk about that, but just for clarity for Nigerians who are listening.
First of all, there is something we need to make sense of, and we need Nigeria to understand. A lot of people talk about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu borrowing money, but then I think they speak of the borrowing as if it is a negative thing or a bad thing that the president is doing. As a matter of God, the borrowing of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a blessing in disguise for this country. In the sense that this money comes in form of grants. They are coming in form of foreign direct investment. That you see, the president is traveling and he's been able to sign some memorandum of understanding with government of other nations, with big shots, organizations, conglomerates, and trying to bring in that money into the country. That is how that borrowing came to be. Now, the borrowing itself, what is the money meant for? Is a sustainable project, is a sustainable path that this money is diverted into. But before now, every government borrows. America is one of the most indebted countries of the world. But the developments in the nation makes it look as if the country is not in debt. The real problem is not about debt, it's not about borrowing, it's about feasible infrastructure development that can complement the borrowing. And that is what is missing in Nigeria. Today, go to Lagos, you can see the coastal way from Lagos to Calabar. You can see the legacy project from Lagos to Sokoto. You can see the green line of the railway being approved. You can see there is no state in the country today that you not see a blueprint project of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And that is what we talk when we say sustainability. When we say trying to secure the future, that is what it means. The money that we are borrowing today, we are not spending it today. The money that the president is borrowing today is now being used to secure the future that you desire for your own children. So we should not see it as if it is a borrowing. No, it is like we are saving for the future. Because whether you like it or not, countries borrows. America borrows, great countries borrows, state borrows, but President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not borrowing money like Buhari or other governments, borrowing to pay salaries, borrowing money to do this or do that. He's borrowing money for capital projects.
Right. I understand that.
You talked about LMM, you talked about Ogoni, you talked about Warri Refinery, Kaduna Refinery, and the rest of them. The truth of the matter is that we are in 21st century. Asiwaju is a thinker, is a strategist. Asiwaju will not do a negative investment in the overall maintenance of something that has refused the technology that was used in building these refineries in the last 50 years, in the last 60 years. Those technologies are no longer in place. So we cannot continue to invest so much of our taxpayer money for maintenance. And that is why there is a new policy and something is being worked on to see how the government can lease these refineries out for private individual, private organization to take charge of these refineries to yield for greater productivities and the rest of them. And just recently, the president is also working with the NNPCL to ensure that the payment of salaries of workers of this NNPC or these refineries that are not working is put to hold, so that whatever comes out from the refinery will be used to pay these workers. These are great innovations of the president. These are great ideas of the president. So, talking about the price of petroleum, Nigeria as a country, as people, pay less for fuel everywhere in the world. Go and ask.
But I understand that argument, and I've heard that argument quite a lot of time. But if we have to do that argument, we also talk about minimum wage. Because we have to compare it quite well. If yes, Nigeria's fuel is at least cheaper than in some oil-producing countries of the world, but what is the minimum wage of those oil-producing countries?
You see, minimum wage. You are going economically. You're talking economy. You're talking about finance demands, and you're talking about every society have its own unique settings economically.
You're talking about the price of buying fuel. So if you are buying fuel for
I'm only trying to tell you that Nigerian paid less. You cannot compare Nigerian society with US, with UAE, with all the part of the world.
Why?
We have our own peculiar.
Can we not do a comparison with Singapore? Can we not do a comparison? These are countries that we came out the same time. Because I'll allow you to speak now, just so the people can have a clearer perspective of what they are saying. If a minimum wage is less than $80, right, 77,000. Right, let's just say $80 is a minimum wage for a whole month. You work a whole month and you get 77,000. Some countries like in the UK, the minimum wage, if you are getting £15 for a 1 hour shift, and you are able to do a shift, you could get as much as maybe £5,000, £4,000, right? So when you now compare the price of gas, as it's called in the US or whatever, it doesn't, because you earn more, and yes, you spend a little bit more. But if you compare how much you sold in Nigeria as to how much we earn, I know it is 80,000, and you cannot even fill your tank with that. So we are in.
Do you know that there are people who earn much more in terms of minimum wage in the US, in the UK, in Singapore, in China, and all the countries that you want to compare Nigeria with, that are not living better life like most Nigerians are living
with 80,000?
I'm telling you, Nigerians are having quality life that most countries of the world are envying of Nigeria. They envy the kind of life. Sometimes Nigerians used to be described as the most happiest people of the world, with even minimum wage of 18,000 naira, at some point 19,500 naira minimum wage. During that administration, during that regime, Nigerians are described as the most happiest people of the world with that money. So it is not in currency, it is not in the money. When you put it side by side with US dollars, yuan or you put it side by side with any other currencies of the world. It's about the value that the government has set for the people and how the people are living. So you also use life expectancy to compare. You see, there are a lot of people in the world that sees Nigeria as a destination. A lot, if not for insecurity. One of the major problems we have in Nigeria today is not in respect to our economy.
We have a major economic challenge.
No. See, Nigeria is a productive nation that majority of its populations are young youth population, and youth population is about creativity, innovation, and production.
Our youth population,
SMSE, small medium enterprises in Nigeria is vibing so well. It's doing so greatly because a lot of Nigerians are entrepreneurs.
They don't even have access to loans,
and that is why the government policies over time has focused so much so that a lot of people have become billionaires overnight. A lot have become millionaires overnight.
Those are people who know politicians or connected to the center.
No, that is not true. That is not true. If you go to eastern part of the world, if you go to Alaba International Market, you go to Sabo Gere in Kano, you go to these business areas across the country, go and interview these people. They don't care about the government, even though the government policy is the reason why they are making so much wealth from their business and building mansions. Have you been to Nnewi? Go and see what is happening in Nnewi. Go to Port Harcourt. Go to Lagos. Go and see how young people are controlling billion. Those things were not magic. They are not spiritual. They are not go. Those things are the reflection of the policies of government. And don't forget one thing.
Policies of ingenuity of Nigerians. Nigerians have always been.
You cannot separate Nigeria as a place from Nigerian as people and government of Nigeria. You cannot separate.
What is the value of that money? Because you could talk about, yes, you are making as much money. Have you spoken to business people? A lot of people are
secretly. Forget about politics. Some of the narratives that shapes opinions in media houses across different parts of Nigeria are being sponsored by opposition party and
nobody is sponsoring.
I know. The truth of the matter, if you want to report it after your due diligence or clear investigation journalism, you realize that Nigeria is a country where if you are hardworking with the policies that the government has put in place that support small, medium enterprises, is the only country where you can start small and within 6 months, if you are hardworking sincerely, you become a millionaire.
In which of the businesses?
Whether you're selling pure water, whether you are a fertilizer, whether you are doing pop-off, whether you are saying akara.
You become a millionaire in 6 months.
Yes, a lot. I've seen a lot. Just from selling akara and packaging akara. You know, Nigeria is a wonderful country, and then let's not allow anybody to deceive us. And that is why today APC is the party to beat. You can imagine that even young billionaires are now marveled, surprised, and loving what the government is doing. All of them now is coming into government. Before, politics is a game for a certain class of people. But look at Obi Kubana, look at chief priests, look at Seyi Tinubu, look at young people across Nigeria, businessmen that have no business in politics before. But because of the policies of APC is not just winning elections, it's educating people to be civic engineered, to be civic engaged, trying to educate people to take part in politics, encouraging Nigerians to participate in elections. So APC is actually building a future for the country.
Let's get back to our conversation as we look at the political parties preparation. One of the hurdles your party will be facing is selling this message that you've said, right, to Nigerians to be able to get their votes. The opposition seems to be gathering much momentum at this time. If you look at the last elections that we had, the 2023 general elections, we had people like Peter Obi, who had 6.1 million votes, right? We had Kwankwaso, who had over 1 million votes. 6.7, right? And your president had upwards of 8 million votes. And they've all come together, at least as of today, to say we will come together to make sure we send the APC government packing.
Your view,
how would that turn out? Because if you look at the mass from the last election, they have the numbers.
First of all, I'm a very good student of politics, and I played and I practiced politics. You see, every season, every political season have certain factors that fueled the decision of people in terms of vote pattern, the pattern of votes. Every season have certain factors responsible for that. Some of the factors that were responsible for elections in 2022 and 2023 are no more, they have disappeared. They are not there.
Which are?
Some of the factors like the HENSAS, the Biafra war, Nnamdi Kanu narratives, Biafra, and all of those things. And coupled with the fact that President Muhammadu Buhari, regime is not as vibrant compared to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. You can see the vibrancy. You can see a whole lot of difference. People are now getting first-hand dividend of government in 2026. People can now clearly decipher the difference between President Muhammadu Buhari's government and approach to governance with that of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and it's a thing of a joy to a lot of Nigerians. A lot of Nigerians, though may not be speaking in the favor of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because everybody gets the impact. Let me tell you something. The pains or the agony or the economic reality under the regime of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu can be described of that same pain a woman that is pregnant that has to go through labor. That labor room pains that does not last forever, that always ends in joy, enthusiasm, and blessing, is the exact same problem or exact same pains that a lot of Nigerians are going through right now. So it is not that pregnancy is not good. It's not that the policy of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not good, but because every person that wants to bring forth life, you want to bring change, you want to bring development, there has to be certain sacrifices that you must make. Nigerians put together, that's why I love these people. Nigerians are sacrificing right now, and Nigerians need to wait a little bit more. Just 8 years, just within 6, 7, 8 years, you will see the manifestation of the pains that Nigerians are going through. Nigerians will be competing with the best countries of the world. Nigerians will be happy. Most Nigerians that are in the US, UK, Ireland, Canada, Toronto today, by the time President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be done with this country, majority of them will be coming back to Nigeria.
So my question is, how do you speak whatever achievements your government has had to the opposition?
It's easy.
And to the masses, because it seems the opposition may be winning more of the masses than you. Their messaging seems to be, because if you go on social media pages now, and for instance, Bola Tinubu has a post on his official Facebook page, and Peter Obi post, you see, Nigerians resonate more.
Okay, now it's very simple. First of all, don't be illusional. You see, most of the things that you see on the social media, they are sometimes robotic in nature. They are AI generated. They are not human beings. They are not human emotions. You see, the reality is that Facebook, Twitter, online does not vote. Online does not understand policy. Online does not get involved in the process or in the practice. Online is not anything close to elections and government. And then it is me and you, we that understand politics, understand government, and then it is me and you that still come forth to discuss government. It's me and you that participate. So don't allow online to give you a wrong impression impression or to becloud your sense of understanding and judgment. The truth is that if you put President Bola Ahmed Tinubu today on the ballot online and you put yourself, you say that you win President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But in reality, you will know that it's deceptive. You know that you cannot win President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But the truth is that the kind of reasoning you see online is anti-reality. It's not in tandem with what happens in the reality. I don't know whether it is human being that does those things online or it is just computer command. But the truth is that don't allow online to becloud your sense of judgment. And another thing you must understand is this. You see, people who understand process, governance, will know that some of these desperate politicians that are campaigning, I don't want to mention the names, some of these desperate politicians don't have any genuine message. So they resort to abuse. They resort to some negative messages that does not even. That's why people don't take these people serious anymore. That is the truth. And I don't know the online you're talking about. A lot of Nigerians don't take some of these opposition leaders seriously.
People do not take Peter Obi seriously.
Nobody takes Peter Obi seriously anymore. And that is the reality. Do you know that Peter Obi is somebody 6.6. I told the factors that were responsible. Those factors are not more there. You see, the NSAS of 2023, of 2020 was one of the reasons people voted for Peter Obi in 2023. Not because they trusted him, not because they love him, but because of they are just looking for a way to express their dissatisfaction with the approach of President Muhammadu Buhari in 2020. And that aside, Peter Obi does not have solution. Even when Peter Obi speaks, he does not speak to the solution of the Nigerian problem. Each and every one of them, tomorrow, come Peter Obi to this studio and ask him, if you were President Bola, if you were President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's shoe, what will you do in regards to petroleum? What will you do in regard to electricity, agriculture, fiscal policy? Ask him what he would do if he would tell you something different. Peter Obi, if he understands process, governance, and Nigerian environment, he will speak exactly like President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He won't tell you anything different. The same thing with Peter Obi, the same thing with Atiku, Kwankwaso, and Amechi. So for me, these guys need to understand that Nigerians are more mature now.
APC members, you mean on that?
Nigerians now understand that Nigerians.
Do you know that your president, our president, right, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, they really win with as much popular vote as.
So let me tell you what's going to happen in 2020. Let me predict the outcome of 2026, 2027 election. It will be shocking, but it's not going to be surprising to us that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is going to win with over 85% this time around than before, than any election we ever witnessed in Nigeria. Reason being that a lot of people who understand governance, who understand process, that are party people, some of them in Accord, some of them in NNPP, some of them in Labour Party, some of them in PDP, all of them who now understand the process, they are now in agreement with what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing. Right. They are ready to fund. You can see the number of governors that it has never happened in the history of Nigeria. Even when Nigeria just came to Fourth Republic under President Olusegun Obasanjo in 1999, we never have it this good. And it's not magic. These things are not happening. Those are magic. Governors are emperor in their state. Governors are not easily swayed by intimidation or anything. But you see these governors willingly defecting to the All Progressive Congress. There are conversations not because of fear.
But we'll go for a short break. Okay. Mr. OLAREWAJU. When we come back, we'll keep talking about 2027 elections. This high cost of election forms, nomination forms that we are seeing affect representation. Please stay with us. We'll be right back after this break. Politics decides our economy. Politics shapes our security. Politics defines our future. But who is asking the hard question?
Is intimidating governors to our opposition, and some allegations even say monies are offered to the tune of billions of naira to these governors to come to the APC.
On Big Talk, we take politics beyond party lines and press statements. We interrogate policies, challenge power,
and it shall be addressed,
and demand accountability from those who govern. From the presidency to the National Assembly, from state governments to grassroots politics, we break down the decisions that affect your daily life. No propaganda, no political comfort zone, just facts, context, and fearless conversations. Big Talk is where leaders explain, analysts dissect, and the people understand.
2015 elections were not held. They are doing rigging.
Don't just watch politics, question it. Tune in to Big Talk on Global Television every weekday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Join the conversation. Politics decides our economy. Politics shapes our security. Politics defines our future. But who is asking the hard question?
Is intimidating governors to our opposition, and some allegations even say monies are offered to the tune of billions of naira to these governors to come to the APC.
On Big Talk, we take politics beyond party lines and press statements. We interrogate policies, challenge power,
and it shall be addressed,
and demand accountability from those who govern. From the presidency to the National Assembly, from state governments to grassroots politics, we break down the decisions that affect your daily life. No propaganda, no political comfort zone, just facts, context, and fearless conversations. Big Talk is where leaders explain, analysts dissect, and the people understand.
2015 elections were not held. They are doing rigging.
Don't just watch politics, question it. Tune in to Big Talk on Global Television every weekday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Join the conversation.
To the program, if you're just joining us, this is Big Talk, a program where we discuss Nigeria's political and democratic issues as we try to bring solutions and talk about issues that could help shape perspectives in our country. Tonight on the program, we're looking at 2027 elections and the high cost of nomination forms, how this can go ahead to affect leadership. And we have joining us to help make sense of the discussion, OLUFUWUBI OLAREWAJU, who has joined us live in Abuja studio. Thank you so much for staying with us. Let's get to the conversation. We're looking at the high cost of forms and how representation is difficult, especially for young people. Is it easy as a young person to run for elective offices, especially in the ruling party, your party? For some parties, it could be. I've seen parties where House of Representatives, their forms are sold for 500,000, but that is not the APC.
Well, I don't know why we are still talking about the cost of forms in 2026, because this argument actually, dominated conversations in 2022 when this broke out. And much has been said in respect to the cost of forms. And I try to give you background of the reason why the price is at that range. Election is expensive anywhere in the world. And then we don't just want to have a political party to field candidates for elections, and at the end of the day, we will not be able to make impacts in terms of elections, campaign, voting, and trying to defend the victory, maybe in court, as the case may be.
Not vote buying.
the money is not for vote buying. Political parties don't buy votes. It is candidates or individuals that buy votes. Political party, what they try to do is that they mobilize. So to mobilize requires logistics, mobilization, branding, and then prepare for legal tussle if any arise.
What happens to party dues?
That's interesting. I love that fact. Do you know that APC is the only party in the whole of West Africa that have the highest percentage of members that pay dues, and that's why it's one of the biggest parties in Africa.
So can't the dues run the activity?
It's not enough. It's not enough. How much is it? 200 naira per month. 200 naira is less than $1. It's even less than 50 kobo. So it's not the dues is not enough to run campaign. If I come to global television today to advertise my candidates, you know how much I'm going to pay. It's not going to be 200 naira. It's not going to be 10,000 naira. It's going to be millions. So that is the reality. The reality is that cost of, and it's not your fault. It's not global. I just use global TV as an example. It's not your fault either. You have to fuel
the managers of the economy.
You have to fuel your stations. You have to pay overheads. You have to pay workers. You have to put in certain things in place, which is expensive. So this money is, we're just trying to make sense of the economy and make sense of the situation and going for the best decision for the candidate and for the party.
How does those who do not have this money to buy this phone, and you want to run for House of Representatives, how do you get the money to run?
The money is not a big deal. I know quite a number of candidates, aspirants in this ongoing purchase of forms that do not have up to 1,000 naira in their savings, but were able to purchase forms. It is the good way. And that is why party is a beautiful thing. Party system is a beautiful thing. Do you know that if you have the popularity or you have the interest of your people, because as an individual, you must have what they call sponsors. You are not supposed to sponsor yourself. It is people who believe in you as a young person that are meant to sponsor you. Now, in this ongoing purchase of form, I know a number of aspirants that individuals in their community sponsored.
So they become their godfather.
It is not God. How many people will be your godfather? Over 120 people cannot be your godfather at the same time. Meanwhile, 1,000 people comes together, contribute 5,000 because they consider you as their own project. Most young people that are crying today that they cannot purchase form, some of them don't have the moral identity, don't have the moral compass, they don't have the sheer, beliefs of people within their community. They don't have the goodwill of their people, and that is why it is impossible for them to purchase this form. Some of them don't even have what it takes to be a leader. I tell you today, if you have what it takes to be a leader in your community, I'm very sure if you're popular with your ideology and people believe that your ideology will turn around their life, they'll get this money for you.
Right, so let's move now. There are conversations around the fact that your party, the APC, seem to be destabilizing the opposition parties. I don't know if you've heard that. Have I causing dispute in those parties? Do you have a reaction?
I did a research. I did a practical research because I've heard those narratives. I've heard people complain that APC is sponsoring division, confusion in other political parties. And that actually touched me. I went for a serious research. Guess what? After my due research, I come to realize that it is just propaganda. Those who have failed and looking for excuses or reason why they failed, there will always be 1,000 excuses for their failure instead of taking responsibility. Anybody today who is in any political party that is pointing fingers at APC as the destabilizing factor in their own party is an irresponsible politician and an irresponsible Nigerian that should not be given opportunity in any political party.
Is it not possible to have parties
That is not possible. It is impossible narrative. It is impossible for anyone to make such claim. First of all, before I can be in your meeting, I must be your member. Political party is not a public affair. It's not general. It is people that belong to a particular party. If you belong to if you are a member of APC and I'm a member of PDP, do you know that I did not have any business as a PDP member in your APC affairs? Because where decisions, discussions, negotiation table will be, I won't even have access. President Bola Tinubu, APC does not have access to the discussion going on within PDP, within APC, within Labour. But because of the selfishness of some of the leaders that manages these political parties, because they don't want to take responsibility, that is why you see that they want to look for a cheap way out by throwing blames at the ruling or progressive Congress.
But what have been situations where the APC can say, yes, we do not attend, but you could have most, you could have people that are sponsored to this.
Now, let me tell you some
party members, and we see that even in international politics, we have espionage, right? Persons who are from this country and spy for another country. They could come from a particular country, stay in their own country of birth, but they're spying for
Let me tell you something. I've heard this. It's not like I'm hearing this for the first time. I've heard such arguments. I've heard such narratives that there could be a war. You don't understand. So everybody cannot be a war. That is what you need to understand. Everybody cannot be a war in the round table discussion. And politics is a game of the majority wins. Minority have their say. Majority have their way. And the majority of the people in another political party cannot be alone. But in the event where you have selfish leaders at the ends of affairs of political parties and they are open to negotiation and handouts from other people, you understand? That means these people, the party is not fit to be called the party. If majority of your leaders are looking out for opportunity to stifle money from the ruling or progressive Congress. So, because that is the only way it is possible for the ruling or progressive Congress to have impact and effect on them, because it is the majority of the leaders of that political party that will make decisions. But in the event where some of them are looking for handouts from the ruling or progressive Congress, that is when the decision of the president or the ruling party can affect their own internal arrangement. This is an internal issue. For example, why is my own problem in my family, OLUFUWUBI family, is not affecting your own family? Because it's my own family affair. So how will you be blaming the irresponsibility of some people within your family on my own family because we live in the same environment? Does that sound well? So I want you to always, whenever you see that kind of narrative, try to reason it as a family affair. How do you mean that another person's will have so much impact on your own family if the leadership of your family is responsible?
We could talk about the irresponsibility of political leaders, but Nigerians do not want a one-party system. We've seen the Labour Party, right? Nana Usman seem to be favoring President Bola Tinubu. We've seen the ANPP. They've come out APGA, they've come out to say they will be supporting Tinubu for 2027, and I'm seeing all of these opposition parties supporting. Is it a good thing?
Some of them. If you're talking about the sanctity of a political party, it is not a good thing. But when you look at your strength and your weakness, and you see that you do not have the capacity to even field a candidate to contest an election, the best thing to do is to align. At the end of the day, we are all in the business of trying to make Nigeria better, whether in APC, APGA, PDP, and all of that. We do not have any personal interest in Nigeria. Our major interest is to get a vehicle. The party is just a vehicle to get into government, and when you get into government, the vision is to get Nigeria better. So everywhere meaning party man and woman, and that is why I am not against any political party to adopting President Bola Ahmed Tinubu if their vision, mission, and manifestos align. You do not need to actually, if you want to do a job, and I also want to do the same job, and by coming together, I realize that you have better skills to getting that job done. Does it make sense for me to be struggling that with you when I know that it is for our own good? How allow you do it? So that is what APGA and every other political party is doing, and that is accepted in politics.
Right, thank you so much for your take on the program. We'll see how that spans out as we move towards the 2027 general election. Thank you so much. We say OLUFUWUBI, OLAREWAJU, for coming on the program. Deputy Director of Media Consolidation, APC Grassroots Movement. We wish you all of the best with your party, and we hope that we have a Nigeria that, irrespective of party, people will be saying that it's good, because as it is, it seems maybe only APC members are talking well about the state of the country.
All right, thank you so much for having me, and I hope that I've been able to make sense of some of the questions you asked me.
All right, so we have to end the program now. Thank you, people. Like we say every day when we come on the program, Nigeria is our country. We must contribute positively to the growth and development of this country. My name is Ubon Musara in Abuja, and bye for now.
Politics decides our economy. Politics shapes our security. Politics defines our future. But who is asking the hard question?
Is intimidating governors to our opposition, and some allegations even say monies are offered to the tune of billions of naira to these governors to come to the APC.
On Big Talk, we take politics beyond party lines and press statements. We interrogate policies, challenge power,
and it shall be addressed,
and demand accountability from those who govern. From the presidency to the National Assembly, from state governments to grassroots politics, we break down the decisions that affect your daily life. No propaganda, no political comfort zone, just facts, context, and fearless conversations. Big Talk is where leaders explain, analysts dissect, and the people understand.
2015 elections were not held. They are doing rigging.
Don't just watch politics, question it. Tune in to Big Talk on Global Television every weekday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Join the conversation.